It's your dynamic duo of creativity and co-hosts, Chris.
And Rick. Today on the podcast, we have James Sizemore, known by many as Mr. Goblin, who was raised in rural Georgia on land inhabited by his ancestors for generations. According to friends and family, little James was always something of an improbable event generator, a locus for spooky happenings and near-death experiences. During his childhood, James survived electrocution, drowning, and one very dicey run-in with an Alabama freight train. Sleepover guests reported poltergeist-like activity, UFO sightings, and telekinesis. From the moment he could lift a crayon, these mysterious events began to influence him, but indications he was gifted were delayed until the age of 7 when young Sizemore was waylaid on the toilet by a sudden swarm of phantom goblins. James has explored a wide range of artistic endeavors in an effort to exorcise these monsters. He has been a sculptor, painter, musician, filmmaker, and monster suit maker. The culmination of these various pursuits have been Wonder Goblin Toy Company, his best effort to pacify the goblins yet. James designs, sculpts, and prototypes his monsters by hand, and not only does he paint his own toys, James also owns his very own paint company, vinylwonder.com. This toy paint is specifically formulated to chemically bond with his vinyl toys to ensure that his artwork is archival and, most importantly, playable. Welcome to the show, James. It's such a pleasure to have you, and we'd love to know, how did your creative journey into toy making begin?
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate that. Let's see, my origin story. Okay, I guess I got to go back just when I first started making art. Because I first started like sculpting when I was a kid because my parents were both potters. They gave me, I was always hanging out in the studio, just messing around with clay and everything. Would always sculpt like little dinosaurs and animals, little creatures and stuff like that. It wasn't until I was about 7 years old, and it's going to sound crazy, but I started seeing things as a kid. Like I would just be like sitting on the toilet. All of a sudden, like weird kind of demonic faces would like float up out of the floor, or I'd be like hanging out in my bed and then like weird goblin faces, ghostly sort of like apparitions, kind of like see-through, would kind of like float down out of the ceiling, and started having like weird kind of ghost things happening. And I grew up on land that was inhabited by my ancestors for like 6 generations. And the house that I grew up in was, the previous generation's house that partially burned down in a fire and then got rebuilt. So there's a lot of weird energy on our property. But yeah, I saw a lot of weird stuff and I heard a lot of weird stuff, and it influenced me. And I got really into drawing creatures and monsters and ghosts and supernatural things and sculpting them and stuff. From then on, over the years, I've just kind of dabbled on different things. Oil painting has been the thing I've kind of stuck with the longest and done for the longest. I just kind of do that for myself, really. It's hard to make a living as a painter. So I don't really like the whole gallery scene, the compasses and everything, the fine art scene. It's not really for me. But I started making monster masks and stuff a while back, maybe 15 years ago or so now. And I was making low-budget monster movies and stuff with friends and everything. I got hired to do some special effects work for some low-budget movies, make monster suits and stuff, and really enjoyed that, sort of like bringing my creatures to life in that way. But the stress of just the film industry and everything that comes with that kind of got to me over the years. And so I quit that and just decided to get to one of my childhood obsessions and passions, which was toys, and took those big monsters and turned them into little small, handheld monsters, and just fell in love with the process. Had to teach myself a lot of it, but learned from different people, meeting different toy makers and stuff that I've looked up to over the years at conventions and stuff, and picking their brains and learning stuff. And that's the thing that I've stuck with the longest out of everything, is making the toys, because I love how you can make so many of them and reach so many people and make it affordable and everything. And so that's what's kind of kept me going in it, is just the accessibility of how my art can be accessible to people in a way that's fun and interactive.
I love the fact that this whole nice little creative fun journey from this whole childhood, and you've kept it going on, and you've been able to like pass out the joy to everybody. Like that's the real fun of being a creative person, right? That's the driver in my world.
Yes, I totally agree. We're here to connect to others. I feel like as artists, that's our purpose, to connect to other like-minded and not like-minded people in some way, either challenge or foster that good energy.
So outside, you're motivating others, but what other stuff keeps you motivated? Like, what keeps you going on every day to keep doing this?
My brain doesn't stop, and
Yes.
yeah, it's not. It's something I've worked on. It's kind of a problem. In the past, I've been like a workaholic big time, and I just had this sort of like undying anxiety, like kind of eating away at me. You know what I'm saying? Like back to those demons, those monsters that I was seeing as a kid, like those things like pressing me to be the best of the best and to succeed and to be known. And I worked really, really hard, harder than I needed to, I think. And I was very competitive when I first started out making toys, and I just wanted to be like the best of the best. Just like, I'm going to try so hard at everything I do here. And of course, our capitalist society, rewards you for that, right? So that helped. It took me a while, but I eventually woke up to the fact that that kind of inspiration, I guess, that source of inspiration was sort of killing me and draining me slowly. So over the years, I've been working on myself in a way that's like trying to find just like literally the beauty in just the process of just making it. Because that's what I loved so much when I was younger about making art, was just getting my hands dirty and just sculpting in the clay and feeling the clay and just like being present in that moment, and having like a good movie on in the background, putting like Purple People Eater on or something, or Willy Wonka, or some an old Godzilla movie or Ultraman or something, just something in the background to like listen to and sort of just tap into that raw, creative, fun childhood energy and just like make the thing and then paint the thing and just enjoy the process of just painting it, and then like not caring whether it's going to sell or like how much it's going to sell for or who's going to buy it or what, just making it, putting it on the shelf, and then when I've got enough of them, being like, okay, I think I need to pay the bills this week, I'll sell these toys. I don't really have like a set of influences per se that like kind of keep me going as a toy maker. I guess all I can say is I've kind of worked through some stuff to end up kind of finding my flow, I guess you would say. It's kind of, I wake up, I just do my thing and then let it go, and I get back to my family and stay present with that. And then when I got time, I draw creatures. When things pop in my head, when I get an idea, oh, that'd be a fun thing to make, I'll draw it down on a piece of paper, and with hundreds of other things that'll never get made that are sitting in sketchbooks, and it's cool. I don't worry about it. It's okay. The things that are supposed to get made will get made, and just kind of go with the flow.
I love that. A question I have, kind of one as a fan of your work and collector, and as another creative, how do you parse? You mentioned kind of just going with the flow. How do you parse which kind of ideas you take to maybe a sculpture or even to a prototyping phase or all the way to production, or which ones you're kind of like, oh, like that was fun, but I think that's just going to stay as a drawing or a sketch? Do you have a process, or is it more of an intuition type feeling that you go with?
That's a great question. I would say I have a little bit of a process for that, but it is also very intuitive. I will step back after drawing something for an idea for a toy. I'll usually kind of simmer on it for a while, sometimes a couple of years. And sometimes that's just because I'm slow at working. And so I'm usually like working on other things when I come up with another idea, and I don't have time to come back to it until much later. And as I was saying earlier about how as artists, it's important to connect to others. I feel like that is something to take into consideration when you're trying to decide, oh, this is going to be something I spend thousands of dollars on to make molds of. I'm going to be putting years of time to bring it to life, not just in like the creating of the thing, but like all the runs I'm going to be painting of it. I'm going to have to at least sell like a couple hundred of these things to make it worth it, right? And so I just look at the designs that I have in front of me, and I think to myself, what here is something that other people would also like, not just something that I want to do. You should be yourself. You should do what you want. You should express yourself and be honest with and genuine, right? But you also want to, you're making toys here. I'm not making an oil painting. If I wanted to just express my own thing and be as weird as I wanted, I'll just paint it and make it for me and put it up on my wall in my bedroom and look at it and be like, oh, that's nice. I like that. But for something that I'm going to invest a lot of money in and time in, that I want to connect to a lot of people with, I'm just going to kind of, I think this is something that people are going to gravitate towards, because this is the kind of thing that, oh yeah, this reminds me of something that like I loved as a kid. Like, a lot of other kids loved this. So it's got my own spin on it, but still unique in my own kind of way, but something that other people can understand too. It's not too obscure, right? So like, when I came up with the Phantosaur idea that I'm working with Maggitarius on, I was just looking around at all my dinosaur toys from when I was a kid. I was like, why haven't I made a dinosaur toy yet? And it kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh, I was kind of afraid to, because it's such an obvious pick. You got to be careful not to seem like you're sort of like following a trend and just sort of like going with the hype and stuff. It's like, okay, how can I do this and make it me? And then I talked to Maggitarius and like, how can we do this and make this like you guys? And like, how can this be something that we all really get excited about and have fun doing, that reminds us of things that we would have wanted to play with as a kid? And we're just like, just come from it in a place that's like sort of a middle ground, right? Let's be ourselves. Let's express things that are ideas that are unique to our own sort of styles, but let's make an effort to connect to people too, so that we can all enjoy this together.
You mentioned the collaboration with Maggitarius, and I know that you've worked with Skinner and Candy Bolton and like a bunch of other people. Do you prefer more collaborations, or do you prefer when you get to fully take something from start to finish, or do you do both? Tell me how you kind of think about and approach like your working style around collabs.
I love working with people. I feel like that's the fun of being alive and on a planet filled with people, right? It's just working with other people. And I'm kind of a hermit naturally. I live out in the country, far away from everybody. This grocery store to me is like 30 minutes away. So working with people is really good for me. It's really good for my mental health. It's good for my soul. So I love it. I love working with artists that I respect and vibe with. And I also love working by myself and doing my own solo kind of thing. I guess it's just kind of a balance. Feel like I need to kind of take a step back and just focus on something personal. I'll do that. Lately, more and more just been doing that with my own painting. When I'm getting that sort of, oh, I need to just work on myself and express something that's has nothing to do with making money. It has nothing to do with getting likes on social media. This is all just for my spirit. Then I'll just sit down in front of my canvas or, a wood panel, and I'll just oil paint and just make stuff that I kind of just keep to myself, or other things that I'll do just for personal art expression, like sculpt a little clay ceramic, something like to be fired in the kiln, just a one-off little sculpture that I'll put out in my rock garden or something. But when making toys, I feel like it's really great to work with people, because there's so many parts of the process. And as a toy maker, it's good to kind of let go. For me, I've noticed, at least, it's nice to kind of let go a little bit of certain parts of the process and not be so controlling, and to just kind of see what happens when you birth something with someone else. The fun that comes from that is really exciting, because it can get overwhelming. The little parts, you got to design this, and then I got to sculpt this, and then I got to prototype it, like make a wax prototype. Then I got to send that wax prototype off to Japan or Hong Kong or California, wherever, and get it made into a mold. And then I got to get those made into vinyl, and then I got to take the vinyl pieces, and then I got to assemble them. I got to clean the vinyl and then paint the vinyl, and then I got to promote it, and then I got to take photos of it, and then I got to sell it, and I got to pack it up, and I got to ship it out. And so it's like, if you can do that with someone else, you can sort of like divvy up the responsibilities. It makes the process a lot more enjoyable, in my opinion.
James, I'm in love with you, man. You're a true inspiration, a fabulous creative person.
Man, I love you too. Appreciate that.
You've had an interesting career, and you've done all this stuff, and you continue to keep going and keep going and keep going. When you're a creative person, there's all these hard parts and the things that keep you down. How do you personally keep going? How do you get past those hard things? What are your either motivations, or how do you get around it, or keep finding the joy in what you do? And the reason I ask is, to creative people, this is the part that kills a lot of them. And how do you keep it going?
I think that it's important to not take yourself so seriously. That's a key thing, right? You have to remember that, just as a disclaimer, I'm a nobody. All right. I'm just a small fry. I'm very insignificant in this universe. This could not be right for everyone. This is what works for me. But insignificance is a healthy thing to feel, I believe. Just trying to remember whenever you start to feel really burnt out and really down and depressed about your work and stuff, I feel like a lot of it stems, especially these days, a lot of that stems from not feeling accepted. Like if your work's not selling very well, and so you're not feeling appreciated as an artist, or if you're not getting a lot of the feedback you want on social media, and so you don't feel accepted by your peers, these all kind of go back to your ego, right? Your ego not feeling like it's getting enough attention. So that makes us sad. If we can just remember that we aren't important and nobody else is either, we're all equally insignificant, and to just be humble and to treat others with that same humility, I feel like that can help a lot. At least with me, it has. It's so easy to get kind of caught up in the hype of wanting to feel like you're more important than you are. And you can just kind of remember that none of that matters. We're all going to die so soon. It's like death is coming right around the corner. And so like none of that matters. The only thing that matters is that are you having a good time? Are you enjoying what you're doing? If you're not enjoying it, then you shouldn't be doing it. You should find something else to do. Like if making toys or painting paintings or sculpting sculptures or writing or making music, whatever you're doing, if it's stressing you out, then you're doing it wrong. Like that whole like an artist must suffer. That's malarkey. That's not true. It's not true. It's wrong. Those people, they've got it all backwards. They haven't figured it out, the joy of just being present with their work and just like making something. And just that process right there being the beautiful part of it all. If you need to make money at doing something else so that you're not stressing about the money part of it, and you can just work on your work for the sake of working on your work, then just get a day job. I know so many people, so many toy makers that have day jobs and do other things. Yeah, it's totally cool. It's totally great because it takes the pressure off, right? So once again, like I said, I'm a nobody. This might not be right for you, but this is what works for me.
I'm the biggest Ray Harryhausen nerd I'm like, he's my ultimate idol. And if you ever read his stuff, that's what Ray says. Like there's a famous story when he was a little kid painting on the glass and he got so frustrated, he broke the glass and he lost weeks worth of work. And that's when he realized, like you're saying, that you have to enjoy it. You have to take the time and stop trying to be the perfectionist or you're going to break it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ray Harryhausen, total inspiration. Oh God. What a amazing body of work that he did in his life. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Godzilla. We wouldn't have all the stuff that we have if it wasn't for Ray Harryhausen and King Kong.
Yes.
I love what you shared, James. I think focusing on the process as opposed to maybe the outcome is so important because the outcome you can't actually control, right? Maybe you can control like the final, like what it looks like or something, but in terms of like you're saying, the social media reception, the sales, all of that, those are all things that are so external to us. And all you can really do is just control the process. I guess, is there maybe a favorite part of the process for you in the full kind of production cycle of a toy?
I think so. I go kind of back and forth between sculpting and painting, but I'd have to say there's nothing quite as exciting as when you get that first test pull and you get to do the first few paint jobs. You get a few test pulls and you're just kind of, I'm just like having fun painting for the first time on this design, on this sculpt of mine. I like all kinds of aspects of it though. I mean, like it really depends on the figure, I think. Like for Papa Squatch figure, for the Sasquatch figure, I really enjoyed sculpting that. That took me a long time. It was really big. I like sculpting big. And that was very nice to sculpt him, to see him coming to life. It was so exciting. Every day I'd come down. Oh, I'm starting to see his eyes come in, on the wrinkles in his eyes and stuff. And that kind of thing was just really exciting for me. But then like some of my smaller toys, sculpting is harder for me because my hands are kind of big. And so like holding a tiny little piece of clay can like my hand will cramp up and it'll like hurt my tendonitis and my it'll kind of act up my thumb arthritis and everything. So I'm just like, sculpting the small stuff isn't so fun. That's something I kind of have to power through. But then when it comes to like painting the little guys, it's really fun because I can just, get a whole bunch of them and just kind of go through them real fast. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm just kind of choo, 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 like assembly line. It just depends on what the toy is, what the design is, how big it is, what the subject matter is. But the Phanosaurs, the most fun part of the process has just been drawing them, just designing them, just drawing on little pieces of paper, just doing a rough drawing and then giving it to Maggitarius and then watching him, like Mike, just amazing sculptor, and just watching him sculpt it and bring it to life, and me not having to lift a finger there, just getting pictures, the sculpt coming together and being like, oh yeah, it's so exciting. It's been really fun. It just kind of varies.
And being that you brought up the painting process, I do want to touch upon the fact that you also founded a vinyl toy paint company, the only one in the US that I'm aware of, at least, Vinyl Wonder. How was that process? Or could you tell us a little bit more about like how that came about? Love to hear a little bit just about how that came about and what it's been like. I don't want to say that toy creating isn't entrepreneurial, because it most definitely is, but I feel like Vinyl Wonder becomes a little bit more of a different type of business. I'd just love to hear more about that journey for you, how it's been for you.
That has been a journey. And I guess it all started years ago when you first start painting vinyl toys, and when you first learn, the only thing that sticks to vinyl is vinyl paint. Remember, back when I first started, all that was available was like, you could get V-Color sometimes through Gunzo, just V-Color, and then you could get like Monster Color, which wasn't even vinyl paint. It was like urethane, automotive paint and stuff. And every time V-Color was always like super overpriced and hard to get. You can't get that many colors. You got to know somebody in Japan to smuggle back some Fock paint for you. So, something, it's just crazy. Just getting the paint. And then like the Monster Color would like scratch off at the joints when you tried to assemble it. It'd flake off, all these problems. And so I just started making my own vinyl paint pretty early on. I found like clear fishing lure vinyl, and I would like pigment it with like nail polishes, making your own nail polish and stuff. It was like working with snot. It's just like really hard to get the colors right and to get the pigments to filter right. And so just years and years of trying to perfect that, I finally met a chemist. I was searching for some solvents. I was trying to find some vinyl thinner. I wanted to make my own vinyl thinner because I wasn't really happy with the vinyl thinner I was getting at the time, but just one very, very toxic ingredient. And the price of what it was, vinyl thinner, but it's really just methyl isobutyl, ketone. I need to just find somebody who sells methyl isobutyl ketone and then kind of like tweak it a little bit so that I can make it a little bit more environmentally friendly, but still do the same thing. Searching for that, I met a chemist in Atlanta. I'm about 45 minutes south of Atlanta. And he was the technical director at this paint factory. And he'd been making paint since the 70s. And he was actually one of the guys that formulated a special kind of vinyl paint for use on cans, like canned foods. So back in the day, they used to apparently use this kind of like vinyl paint / ink, coating, like a vinyl coating that would color the canned foods. And so we got to talking. I told him my goal, try to make paints, and he was like, yeah, I mean, we could make this a whole operation if you wanted. And I was like, that would be amazing, because there's nobody in the States selling it that isn't importing it and then marking it up or thinning it down with something. There's nobody really just selling the concentrate. There's nobody selling ready spray either. You can't get airbrush vinyl paints. And that was always kind of a pain, right? Oh God, I got to like take the concentrate, take this and, add another part of this. So me and Chuck just worked on it for about a year, finally got like a standard line of paints out and just like opaques. And we did some tests on them, ran them through the longevity tests where you take the paint and you paint a toy with it, and then we put it in a freezer, then we put it in an oven, then we take it out, and we put it in a freezer and put it in an oven, and it do that every day for 2 weeks. And that basically, like, what doing that does is it shows you what's going to happen after 20 or 30 years. And so after doing that, you couldn't scratch it off with a toothpick, still solid on there. And so I was like, all right, man, we made it. We made some good stuff. And it was just figuring out how to follow it up and get a website going and everything. I think what really kind of inspired me to take it so seriously and make it into such a business instead of just like a hobby was that idea, going back to when you find yourself stressing out over putting food on the table and being able to like pay your bills and stuff like that because I didn't sell enough toys this week, because like I didn't get enough people noticing this release that I just dropped, that kind of stuff. When you get to that point, it's really nice to have that day job. And so I was like, man, wouldn't it be a dream if I could find a way to make my day job feed into my toys too, and to love it in a way that's like, this is helping other toy makers, getting affordable product out there that are looking for something that they don't have to stress out about if it's going to like stick to the toys or not. And just a happy, it all just kind of came together in such a good way. And very thankful that it's been working out, and it's definitely taken the edge off of things and allowed me to kind of step back and just enjoy the process of making the toys more, and not so much worrying about whether they're going to sell or not, because knock on wood, vinyl paint business is doing good. We want to keep growing things and keep making it even better. I know we're working on a non-toxic formula right now, actually, that is going to be like an acrylic-based vinyl paint for all the people out there that don't have spray booths and can't afford the respirators and all that kind of stuff. They want to just do this as like a hobby where they're just working with something, maybe not even using an airbrush, just kind of painting it on by hand. We're working on that right now. So hopefully soon, maybe in a year or so, we'll have that.
I can't wait. Because the amount of fans I need to have going with my tiny homemade spray booth, and like that would be amazing. Also, your paint is fabulous. I know everyone says this, and I know you know it, and I know everyone else in the custom world knows it already. But if you don't know it and you're an artist who is like, how do I get into vinyl painting? Please just do yourself a favor and go buy some Vinyl Wonder, and everything will be good. But
well, it's all thanks to Chuck. Yeah, I can't take credit for it. It really is. It's all Chuck is the godsend here. I owe everything to him. He's the brains behind it. All I do is I just like, hey man, it'd be cool if we could get like a Godzilla blue, to match this like Marathon toy I have. And he's like, yeah, okay, I can do that. He'll work on it for a couple weeks, and then boom, he'll have it. And I'll just be like, you're amazing, Chuck. Thank you.
awesome. So James, I think you mentioned how difficult it was when you got started in terms of getting toys made, and now it's much more accessible. We have different manufacturers here in the States that can do soft vinyl. You're creating the paint to paint toys. I feel like it's sort of having a renaissance where it's so much more accessible. What advice would you give to other people who are either just starting out or looking to get started in toy making or sculpting or kind of any creative field? What advice would you want to give to people get started?
That's tricky. When it comes to giving advice, I'm very hesitant, because what might work for one person is very wrong for another person. I like to always tell people, be yourself. But if you're kind of a jerk, maybe that's not the best advice, right? So I guess maybe sort of modifying that, just be yourself, but without being wrapped up in yourself. Once again, like we said earlier, just not to take yourself so seriously. We're making toys, and it's supposed to be fun. And you're doing this because you want to tap into your inner child and feel that joy, making something that can be played with, that's not just sitting up on a wall and can't be touched. It's something that like can be posed and played with and photographed, and it's so much fun, brings so much joy and spreads so much joy with people. And so just remember that when you're doing it for the right reasons. Because if you're getting into toys because you think like you want to jump on a bandwagon, you think, that there's going to be some good money to be made here and stuff like that, you're not going to make a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot of money, but you're not going to make a lot. You got to really love it. And then also the other thing too is to remember, like, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to the people you look up to, and don't compete with those around you. It's a community. It's a very small community. We all know each other, and it's just good to just be friends with everybody, to not get caught up. Every single art scene has its own inner circle, the quilter circle, right? The old grandmas get around and gossip, and every art scene has that. I remember when I was living out west and trying to get into like a fine art painting scene, like it's always going to be, no matter what scene you're in, if you're in comic books, music industry, if you're in the film industry, there's always going to be people that talk badly about other people. And if you can just kind of center yourself and not allow yourself to kind of participate in that, if you can just kind of be equally welcoming to everyone and equally nice and polite and humble to everyone, you're going to get along great in the toy scene, and you're going to have fun because there's a lot of really awesome people. There's a lot of really talented people. We're all just having fun making toys.
That's true I wish that was true for all of life.
I know.
You can find the good people in any part if you look for the good people and stay
You
away
can.
from that.
Yeah, you totally can. Yeah, and even the bad people, you can just try to have passion for them instead of reserving judgment. You might find that they're not so bad when you talk to them. Now, some people are. Some people are just bad. There's a lot of just bad people that do really bad things. We've seen that, unfortunately, without getting too into it in the past year. Some really sad things happening because bad people doing bad things.
If you surround yourself with other creative people,
yes,
and that's the beauty of our community. Real creative people want to help other people be creative. And James, your story is fabulous because you've done all this stuff, and even from making paints and toys, it's all a great creative journey. You have done creative things in a variety of aspects in life. It's truly inspiring.
Well, thank you.
And you're humble. That's the beauty of it all, right?
Be so humble. I don't know the words that I'm trying to kind of express right now, but I guess all I'm saying is I have put a lot of work into how I've gotten here. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of years and years and years of struggle of not knowing where my place was in the world. It took me a long time to kind of like center myself and realize that I don't have to try so hard, and that no one really does.
Would that be what you would tell the young self?
Yes, definitely. I wish I could. I wish I could go back and tell young James, like, dude, like, it's all going to come together, man. You just got to be patient. You just got to keep working, and you just got to enjoy what you're doing. Because, like, I was going to do it regardless. All the things I did, I was going to do them regardless of the anxiety and the stress that ate at me to like sort of push me. I didn't really need that. Like, I've always enjoyed making art. I've always enjoyed getting my hands dirty in paint. I've always enjoyed everything surrounding all kinds of artistic processes. And that sort of thing that society has tricked us into believing, that capitalism has gotten us all to focus on, is that, like, you can't do it unless you hustle. You got to hustle. You got to work so hard, and you got to stress out, and you got to freak out, and you got to get on all the social media apps, and you got to do all these things, and you got to beat the algorithm, and you got to do this, and you got to, and you can't sleep, and you got to take drugs, and blah blah blah. It's like all this stuff. It's like you don't have to do any of that if you genuinely just want to make art. Like, you could just forget about all that and don't listen to malarkey. You just listen to yourself, listen to your inner spirit, and just kind of like take some time to breathe, and just take some time to stretch, and take some time to walk through the woods with your dogs, and just like chill, and just like be good to yourself. It's like, I wish I could just tell myself that in the past, because like there's so many years where I was not good to myself. And I used to have to be, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I used to have to take antipsychotics, and not just one antipsychotic. I'd take an antipsychotic and an antidepressant, in combination, pretty rampant drug use. Like, I was a mess. And it took me a while before I could get to a place where I don't need any of that. And I'm just breathing now. I'm just trying to be present, and I'm just trying to like play with my dogs.
Just enjoy the life.
Yeah. Just trying to enjoy life. Yeah, just little things. Just like when it's a nice day, just being like, I'm going to go out and walk some trails and like unplug. Oh man, I've had a really stressful week. I'm just going to sit down and just like pick up my oil paint brush and just like oil paint. It's all just like, we're so lucky this life. We have so many opportunities, and not everybody has that. I come from a place of privilege, and I recognize that, and I'm very thankful what I have. But we can all find calmness in life if we look for it, if we try to cut out all the noise. It can be a hard habit to break, but it can be done.
Thank you so much for sharing that, James. I mean, I think you are a paragon of living the advice that you're offering, and I think it's really inspiring. I know I'm like, oh yeah, just calm the nervous system down, and you have to freak out less because DesignerCon's right around the corner as we're recording this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, this has been an absolute pleasure. Where can our listeners and viewers find you? What's the best place to learn more about you, your artwork, your paint, all of the good stuff?
Oh, well, I sell my toys at wondergoblin.com, and then I sell my paint at vinylwonder.com. And I'm kind of on Instagram, and that's about it. You can email me if you really want to talk. My email is on my website. You could just hit the contact thing and it has my email there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to any conventions in person this year, but next year I'm gonna really try. I want to go to Japan, and so hopefully I can meet some people, meet some of you there, maybe at Superfest, I'm thinking. Also, next year, hopefully we'll do Kaiju Cult again. So that'll be a cool place to hang and meet people in person. That's the local Atlanta thing that Chris Langro puts on every year. Other than that, just those websites online. That's me. That's where I am.
Well, I will see you in Japan then, for sure.
Awesome. Sweet. Can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to Japan. I've been saving up for a while and got a lot I want to do. I think I'm just going to stay for like a month because it's cost so much to get out there. You know, it takes so long to get there. I just want to kind of like stay and really be able to kind of get a feel for it.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Any last things you wanted to say before we sign off? And before you do, though, it's like this really inspiring and a touching podcast. So I just wanted to say thank you before you said the last word.
Oh, thank you. I have no last words, but thank you everybody for listening, and thank you for taking the time to get to know me a little better and listening and talking, and it's been fun.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Origins, A Creative Journey, a DesignerCon podcast. Please follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're streaming this on, and check us out on Instagram at Origins, A Creative Journey. And if you have any suggestions or questions or comments, email us at dconpodcast@gmail.com. And make sure to get your tickets and hotel deals now for DesignerCon's 20th anniversary celebration in Las Vegas, Nevada, November 14th through 16th, 2025. I hope to see you there, but in the meantime, go make some art.